Hey guys, good morning. Eric here, Friday the 5th. Just a quick update for premium members on Gungnir. I just wanted to verbally give some thoughts instead of typing out some things. And I also spoke with Jari Paki, the CEO of Gungnir, just now. I've gotten some more feedback from third parties. And so listen, here's the bottom line. The stock, obviously, we've been disappointed and blindsided yesterday, and I think that there were a couple of issues that were in the control of management where there was a mistake, and that just being that, and I related to the company that they had basically 3 press releases in one that was crammed into one. Hole number 1 through 5, hole number 7, and then also the long intercepts that we saw from holes 9 and 10 that look very interesting. The surprises on the negative side were 2 things. One was the grades, and number 2, that it was primarily zinc that was found. Although there was a mixture of minerals that were found here. And what I've ended up doing after talking with a few different people, we are on the cusp, it looks like, of, and this is what the company feels as well, a VMS deposit, a VMS discovery that really what Jari had said as far as the positives are that, he wasn't really too concerned about the grades, more that the mineral mixture of a VMS exists here. It's showing that. And we're going to get more color on the geology, but from my understanding, what they've found is the smoke, and now they need to go for the fire, which is the vent zone. The vent zone and around the vent zone would produce much higher grades. And also, they feel that this is predominantly copper, perhaps gold in the vent zone, and then zinc. You get these marginal zinc readings in certain areas around a VMS, and they also believe that it's big. And so part of the issue with various VMS deposits is that a lot of them are kind of small, so they may not be economic. In this case, being bigger, there's obviously potential if that's the case. And what I would say from my talk with Jari is that he's very surprised by the reaction. And in fact, some of the guys that are close to the company from a technical perspective have been buying stock in the market because this thing is they're just getting started. They have to get more information and more data. And it sounds like the holes 9 and 10 will give them some really key data. One thing I was very surprised by positively when I said, what do you have left in the bank? He said they're going to have over $800,000 left at the end of the year. So that's another quarter, meaning that all the stuff they just did was already paid for, and they still have 800 grand, including 3 more months of operating expenses. So they have money. I mean, they have, they're going to get another $1 million on May 1st. So they could easily budget another, do at least the same amount of work that they just did. Because I think they had probably about 1.2, 1.3 million that was in the bank before this season started. And, so maybe they spent about 400,000 maximum, somewhere in that ballpark, for up to 10 holes. And he mentioned that they had a really good rate on drilling, something like $150 per meter cost, which is actually amazing. So they are, they're excited about it. They also feel that the Nafton 300 zone with the gold, even though, and I found out about the whole sending samples back. So usually 8 or 9 times out of 10, you get samples sent back to a lab because they're really good. And we got the 1 or 2 times out of 10 where particularly one of the holes came back less than the historic hole, much less than the historic hole. And so they wanted to find out why that was. It was basically a twinned hole from previous resource data. And so the explanation for that most likely is that it's got a very nuggety effect with the gold in the core. So they actually are doing some work on sending various samples of that core back, because it can make a big difference in terms of what you come back with grades if you have a nuggety effect of gold in terms of where they sample the core. So we'll see. That could be some sort of a positive surprise in the future if they have, materially different results from the retest. It sounds like they retested it once, and I don't think it came back too much better. So I'm not counting on anything there. But we also have a situation where hole number 6 was a retest. Not a retest, it was a follow-up on the discovery zone that they found last year, which is nickel copper. So we have 3 distinct areas on the Nafton property that they're looking at, moving projects forward. We have the potential VMS system around hole number 7. We have the nickel copper situation from last year, which was hole number 6. And then we have the gold copper at Nafton 300. The way that they talk about this property, he used the word, I have to look at my notes. I mean, juicy. There's juice everywhere around this project is what he said. So definitely we do not have, a team that's leading this that is discouraged by the drill results. In fact, I think that they are excited about finding the vent zone on this VMS deposit. What we have to look forward to probably in the next few weeks to maybe it's early November is hole number 9 and 10. And what I will say is that I tried to, make it clear in terms of learning about this type of stuff with VMS, the results when they step 200 meters out, which is what they did. They stepped out 200 meters for hole number 9. The results can be materially different because when you start to get around certain parts of the vent zone from the VMS deposit, it can be materially better and materially different. So that could end up, and he also confirmed, because when I've done my own homework on VMS deposits in the last 24 hours, brushing up on that, because I haven't had a ton of exposure to them actually. And clearly when you get to the better zone, you're talking about, 4 or 5% zinc, 4% copper, really, really good grades. And that's what we've been missing with these initial zinc equivalent readings that came out. But that does not mean that this is a low grade deal. If it's a VMS structure, then once they find the vent, it's going to be a different ballgame in terms of grade and how people are going to look at this deal. He also said that they tried to relay the information in a press release more geared towards like an Agnico Eagle or a Teck in terms of getting their interest about the big prospects here. Not necessarily a retail press release, but I would say that I still think they screwed up putting it all into one versus petering it out. But there's more information on the website about this rotting trask area. And so I've invited Yari to come on a Skype call for next week. He wanted to run it by his board. I think he's a little trigger shy with the stock reaction about, what am I going to do if I say something, So I said, look, man, you just got to update your investors and give them information, what you're thinking. You got to give people information. It's not about saying anything crazy or whatever. You just have to. And I don't think that these guys did anything nefarious in terms of like promotion. We had some information from the test results, even like the results going back to the lab. I didn't get that from the CEO. That came from another entity within the company that basically mentioned that, as well as mentioning the enthusiasm on site with a lot of the geologists looking at core. I had asked Yari about that. He said, well, I can't speak to what he said. I said, well, he said you're excited when you were looking at the core. And he said, yeah, you got 3 geologists looking at highly mineralized core. He's like, of course we were excited. I don't know what's in it. We still got to send it to the lab, but it definitely is exciting. So, that's the story. There's nothing going on here where, we're getting fleeced or this thing is dead. It's not the case. It's exploration, and exploration is ups and downs. And as long as it's not always down and that they don't have anything there, then, we've got big prospects in Sweden. He mentioned that there are some very robust and rich VMS deposits to the north of them. And so let's see what we got. My sense is that there's going to be support. Let me just pull it up while I mention this. Support on the stock. Let's see where we are right now. Yeah, we're trading at 13 cents. I expected that we were going to cool out by like Monday. There's still going to have a lot of people dumping just based on the fact that it's gone down this much. People get scared. Understandable. It's a big smack. But there's also a big gap on the chart at 30 cents, which would be my initial thought of where this thing can go back to in the, it might take a few months, but it can get back to that. So there's absolute concrete huge support at a dime, but there's also a lot of support around 12.5 cents. So I would say that for those of you looking to buy some more stock, you can actually begin around the 13 cent level. And if it, maybe stagger in some bids at 12 and 11. And, we might see that those prices hit today or Monday morning, but I don't see it going lower than a dime. I don't. I think it's going to firm up here probably in the mid-teens, maybe a little better if they communicate the story well. And come out and share more information next week. And, word gets out that we're, this isn't some sort of a scam or a flub. So I'm just keeping Gungnir at a hold or a modest buy under 13 cents. That's what I would say right now. I know a lot of us are loaded up in this thing. And, there's sort of a shock factor that happened yesterday. But it's also, I was talking about this on our Facebook group, just because a stock is down huge that we like, doesn't mean that after material information comes out, which we were waiting for, that it's an automatic buy. I don't just automatically say you got to buy more because it's down and it's a company that we like. We have to look at the details of what came out. From what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding about the situation, there is still a massive amount of potential for Gungnir in Sweden. It's going to take time. It's going to take some more drilling, and they're going to need to figure out which directions to go to find the vent zone. They could get lucky and do it. They could start to hit on that from holes 9 and 10 that are at the lab right now, or what they'll probably do is get those results back and then also get some new permits out there to do an EM survey from the air over the whole property and get some more geophysical information so that they can have additional targets for the early part of next year and go back out there and drill. So, they've got enough money, he said, to drill for like a 5-6 month program. I told him, don't wait until the spring to get back out there. This is not an area where you are like the Golden Triangle that you can't drill in the winter. You certainly can. So I think hopefully they end up getting back out there sooner than later, and I think they will. And so we could have a bunch more work and more information coming out in the months ahead that could really firm this thing up. And, look, we have varying success on this. Even at 13 cents, I'm still up 20 times my money from the 1 cent purchases into the 3 cent placement with a 5 cent warrant. It sucks compared to being up 55%, 2 days ago, but still we've got varying results on this, and I've been excited about the prospects based on trying to read people, not on any sort of inside information, but trying to read people's reactions and then using that to say, I think we have something here, and it fell short. And so that's where we're at. All we can do is accept reality, make a new assessment, and say, what are we going to do from here? Because if it didn't look like there was anything coming next, or there was a lot of potential lost and this was a restart, I would just tell you guys to take your lumps and go. I don't give a shit. I will not stay married. I've learned this a long time ago, unconditionally married to a stock. It's not something that we necessarily will do here just because it's down, and it's the easier way to go is to keep cheerleading something that doesn't have real prospects, and this one does. It does. So I would say just in the fallout here after this big decline, if you're a buyer, just be a steady, slow buyer. Keep your bids in. Try to get some stock under 13 and a half, 12 and a half cents in the next couple of days, and then if it starts to firm up, we'll have more choices to be able to buy it. It's not going to just rebound and shoot up back to 30 cents. It's not going to happen. At best, the only way that is going to happen soon is if holes 9 and 10 come back and are very encouraging, which they could be. We could see, in the next couple of weeks, stock firm back up between 15 and 20 cents, and then on good news, pop back up to those levels. But let's just take it one step at a time. Have a good day.